Morning Nation, Marty Fit.
What's up?
Hey man, Monday today. We are talking. We are talking. No more junk food cravings, pal. No more junk food cravings. No more sugar cravings. All that stuff we like to talk about here in the lab.
No more. What?
Oh,
you don't want to have fun?
You mean Marty? I haven't cracked this yet, man.
You want to be boring?
Is that what it is?
It's boring. It's boring, man. Come on, Keith. Lighten up. Live life a little bit.
Oh man, isn't that how it works though? Isn't that how it works?
That's how it works.
That's how it works. That's how it works. How was your weekend, pal?
It was pretty good. It was pretty chill. Didn't work too much. Did a little bit of work. Hung out with some friends. Yeah, it was chill. How about you?
I did the same. Yeah, I got some stuff done around the side. I worked, did the old yard work. I got stuff I got to get done on sub. We got Father's Day weekend coming up next weekend, of course. So I got organized last weekend with all of that, which was exciting. Hey Marty, I'm going to put a link inside your private feed here. I forgot to give you this for the vertical feed here, so I'm just going to flip this over here. If you want to add this and stream into that as well, that'd be great. If you recall that we did that last week, we got that vertical feed hopping here. So let's get that rolling if you can. And while you're doing that, so open that up in a second browser, right? So open that in a second browser so that I can get you up on here on the other feed that I'm still getting used to running the two feeds here, Marty. I discovered that last week, which is I can actually run two feeds from one. The other one, I gave you a different link there. So open up a second browser and I will see you pop up in the vertical one we're going into Instagram with. So
that's the link. That's the one you just gave me.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I'm going to give you a different one here. So we're just creating great content here this morning, Nation. So I'm going to do this here. I'm going to put Matt. I'm going to give you this link as well, pal. There's a link in the private chat for both you guys. The second link there. I invite you guys to click into that one. Do not get out of this one. Open a second browser. Go into that link. You're going to run two browsers, two streams. This one's running horizontally. The other one's running vertically. Why? Because we've got people in Instagram Nation. They want to see us in the vertical feed, not just in the horizontal feed. So I see you guys popping up there, and there you go. There you go. You guys are both in the vertical feed as well. So awesome, gentlemen. Welcome, Nation. You guys can see how this is all working out now. Okay, so see, this is new to us, Matt Freed. This is absolutely new to us on how we're going to work this out here. So, and hey, Marty, guess who's here this morning? Enzo. We got the future. We get the future in the lab today. Enzo's here.
What's up, Enzo?
And also Father's Day is in September. Oh, so hey, Marty, we know the future is coming up in September. They got Father's Day in the future there, man.
They do, actually.
That is weird. I didn't realize you guys didn't have Father's Day here in North America here in June. So September, Father's Day in New Zealand. Man, we learn stuff all weekend here.
Yeah.
All the time. So big week, Marty. We're going to focus this week on many things that we have to do to help ourselves getting through the month of what?
Man, January.
That's
January.
it. That is
like
it.
That. Yeah.
Yes, we are in the month of January. It is that time in the middle of the year where we invite Business Athlete Nation to look back at January and reflect upon what, Marty?
Those New Year's resolutions they didn't They gave up in the second week of January. Those.
Oh, those ones.
Yeah, those. Yeah.
Oh, those ones that sound just like this?
Yeah, the ones they got in the group chat and bragged about. Hey, guess what I'm working on? And it just went away.
I'm telling you, man, we talked about this last week. We are going to create a word cloud, Nation. And we're going to publish the word cloud on mid-December. And we're going to watch everybody's chitter chatter get at her about, oh yeah, resolution. I'm focusing on January 2025. And then that word cloud is going to do this. Matty, I see Matt sitting in the green room over there. It's going to do this. And then January, it's going to culminate with the climax of, oh my God, I got all these resolutions. And then Marty, come January, what's going to happen? Nope. That's we
like
know
this year is going to be different.
Yeah,
last year was just a warm up. That was just a test drive, and this is going to be the real year this year.
We know Marty was working on the sound effects this weekend, the soundboard, because he's got the old nope and exactly.
I got this one too.
Oh, it's soundboard wars with Keith and C. Marty Fit here in the lab. So listen, if you're just tuning in for the first time to our show, this is what you're going to get first thing in the morning with Keith and C. Marty Fit here in North America. You're going to get humor, laughter, some sound effects, some soundboard, but most importantly, motivating, inspiring, accountable conversation to get you on your way. Here's the thing, Marty. Forever, there was these talk radio shows and TV shows focusing on like music formats. You'd wake up with country music or rock music or what other kind of music. And they had talk radio where people talk about things. So we decided we're going to dip into the past and start this morning show and have conversations, accountable conversations to help people get moving and get their life in order. Talk about these junk food cravings, especially when they come into summer, right? Summer's around the corner. Like, do I hit the patio? Do I have the extra chocolate bar? Do I crush the burgers? Speaking of crushing burgers, man, I crushed a big burger yesterday.
Oh, hold on. First of all, we're going to talk about you crushing burgers. And Enzo, you're absolutely right. I'm sick of the Mavericks already. I don't think it's over, though. I don't think it's over.
It's not over, according to Marty and Enzo. The Mavs are letting us down. And that's some sport conversation. Listen, if you want some good sport conversation, fun conversation, nation, I invite you to head on over to the YouTubers. And if you're looking to do something in the evenings, go find C. Marty Fit. I know you're going to find some accountable, fun conversation that's going to keep you enlightened and honest.
Absolutely. Oh, you should. I don't know if you saw what I did yesterday, but we
I did.
Oh, you did. You saw the experiment. Okay.
Well, and I thought I would call it a conversation that I also witnessed in how shall I say this? I witnessed this conversation yesterday on your feed. Marty, you had an opinion around men in the gym these days. Would you like to maybe share that opinion?
Oh my! Did you see the comments?
I thought I would run the video, but I figured, no, it's morning conversation. I'll let Marty express his thoughts and ideas in a very humble way this morning. Listen, nation, if you go to the gym, Marty has a thought for you. Now, Marty, I'm just gonna mute myself and express yourself on what happens in the gym these days.
Yeah, so obviously there are attractive women and attractive men in the gym. So if you want to shoot your shot, it's understandable, right? But be respectful. So I basically made a post about a guy saying something that was totally inappropriate to a woman, shooting his shot at her. And so I made a post about it, added my little jokes in there, and people just added their own details to the scenario. Basically, well, she was asking for it. She was asking to be spoken to like that. And it was very disgusting. And I was embarrassed to be a man, actually, because all I was basically saying was don't talk to women like that at the gym. And the amount of excuses for men saying inappropriate things for women was crazy. Like, well, she probably had on tight clothes. Like, I don't care what she had on. There's no way to speak to someone, like, do you want someone to talk to your mother or your sister like that, or your wife? If they didn't know your wife was married, would you want someone to approach your wife like that? You would feel some type of way. So that was very disgusting. And fellas got to do better. So
I appreciate your stance, man. I saw some content over the weekend from you calling the fellas out, because you're right. If you're gonna call a woman out, ask yourself how you'd feel if that was your mother. Some guy calling out your mom. We all have moms. We all have moms.
Yeah.
Right. So just think about it, guys. And listen, there's never a right time to comment on a female that you can say something because she's wearing something. Really? What are we like? Really? Like, come on. Like, it's just ridiculous. And then the other thing that I saw you commented on this week, and so listen, nation, Marty comes with a huge heart. He's going to call you out. He's going to keep you honest. That's what he's going to say. And men, when you're hanging out in the locker rooms, there's a place to put the towel, and it's not over your shoulder. All right. So if you're walking around the locker rooms, hey, Matt Freed, if you're walking around the locker room and you just had a good shower and there's people in the locker room, they invented the towel, and there's this way you can tie the little knot around your waist. Hey, Marty?
Yeah. Use the towel correctly. I mean, why advertising in the gym locker room? Come on, man. And I really think the most people, like 90% of people, just want to go to the gym, do what they need to do, go home, go to work, and get on with their day.
That's it. And
they're not trying to advertise and recruit in the locker room. So No matter, I was gonna say, no matter what you into, whatever you like, there's no discrimination, no phobia over here. You can like what you want to like, but that's just inappropriate. It's just inappropriate, regardless. So
Inappropriate behavior comments from C. Marty Fit. First thing in the nation, we're here to keep you accountable. Keith and C. Marty get up every single morning to keep you guys honest. So if you're heading to the gym right now, because we're thinking that's what you're doing, it's the first thing you do. Go have a great workout, go have a great run, go have a great shower. But men, because we know you listen to our show, Marty. We know a lot of men listen to the show. Take that towel and wrap it around your crotch.
Yes, please. So if you're wondering what the post was, and this is everything I say is true. Like, this actually happened. This guy got out the shower in the gym and he just threw the towel over his shoulder and just walked out to shower with the towel on his shoulder. At that point, what do you have the towel for? You might as well ditch the towel at that point. Just, what do you have it for? What are we doing? So, oh man.
So there you go, gentlemen. Put the towel on. Coming up here, got the accountability check-in in a few moments here. World of Enzo chiming in. Junior resolution for Enzo sports podcast potential startup. Oh, Enzo, come knock on our door. Maybe we can help you out with that. Enzo's also talking about Marty. You're not expecting him to watch and remember this stuff. I can tell you a reaction. But that was referring to something earlier, I think. And then,
yeah.
And then Enzo, I was going to grab some sleep, but you guys make the hour of my day so enjoyable. Oh, thanks, Enzo.
Appreciate you, Enzo.
That's awesome. Enzo joins us from the future. For those that are tuning in new, Enzo has become, Marty, this fixture on the show.
Yeah. They think you're a bot, Enzo. They think Enzo's a bot. Like, we got a chat GPT bot saying he's from New Zealand.
Oh man, we got no bots here. We just got real life human beings here in the lab.
Real human beings.
Real human beings. It's real human conversations is what our jive is here in the lab. Coming up, Matt Freed, we're going to talk how to crush, Marty, how to crush that candy, sugar, junk food addiction. It's the focus of today's chat. Kylie Hauk is going to join us here in a couple minutes as well. Throughout the week, we got Joseph Malone, Marty, messaged me this morning. He's had an incredible life. He was on Live in the Lab. He is a former Marine. He is all about discipline. We're going to talk about how to achieve the ultimate in discipline. We're going to talk key habits this week. We're going to talk the 5 a.m. club, the ultimate 5 a.m. routine. We got a bunch of things. We got Christopher Keach coming in Thursday, Friday. Man, we got a full week of activity here in the lab, which I'm quite excited about. And yes, Enzo, you are a bot. So anybody looking to get into the future, go hook up with Enzo. He's a bot from New Zealand. Oh, there you go. Yeah, brother of the show. He's a bot. I like that, Marty.
I like that.
I like that. Yeah, Enzo's marketing himself, branding himself all the way from the future for us. It's exceptional.
Definitely branded himself. Definitely.
That's awesome. Oh man. So what else we got going on today? Oh, here we go. We got William Graves. Sugar and salt are going to harm healthy people. Don't know to choose any food or meal. Yeah. Hey Marty, are you a salt guy or a sugar guy?
Probably salt. I'm not a big sugar guy. I just can't. I can't do it now. Like, I saw somebody the other day. They had like a high C juice.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't even drink that. Like, I can't.
Yeah. So listen, I'm not going to lie that I don't dislike my sugar. I can put it away though. Like, I don't have to eat it. Like, I'm fine not eating sugar. I do know though, when I get it into me, it's like that addiction, right? It just feeds itself. It's like, oh, I got some sugar. Oh, my body goes like this, and then it goes like this. Oh, I get some sugar, right? So it's I prefer sugar over the salt. Although yesterday, buddy, I crushed myself a good old burger, and I crushed myself a little bit of fries. Just a little bit. Yeah. Doing some work outside, and Lauren and I had the in-laws over doing a little bit of work. They're like, hey, you guys want to go down the street to the old, we got a nice diner down the road here, Marty, 5 minutes. It's been around for 87 years, man.
Wow.
That's what I said when I talked to the owner. 87 years. So they're making burgers and fries. You come here, I'll take you over there in the future, and we'll go and crush ourselves a burger and a fry. There's the salt kind of thing. So William also talks about apple is sweet and juicy. Yeah, I don't mind apples. I like apples with peanut butter, though.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a good combo.
The problem,
I like fruit too.
Oh, do you like fruit? Yeah, I don't mind crushing the old grapes. Although I will tell you, Marty, the problem I have with apples and peanut butter is it turns into peanut butter with a little bit of apple.
That can happen easily. Peanut butter, Nutella, all that stuff. Yeah, that can happen easily.
It happens to me. It happens to me. So a little bit of Enzo talks about world bit for Keith is large side of fries. That's it. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. All right. So listen, Marty, let's just pivot our chat here. We're at that point in the show. We're going to get into the accountability check-in. And then we're going to invite Matt Freed into the show. And I'm sure Kylie Hoke is joining us in a couple moments as well. But here is where we decide to take that topic of the day, Marty. And I'm going to take this off the screen here. Before we do that, though, yes, goose fruit is better for your health as you're concerned. Goose fruit. What, you know goose fruit, Marty?
Not sure.
Yeah, I guess we're going to learn about that later today. So, all right. So, come on. Accountability check-in. Jimmy. So, today we are going to focus on... Where's my notes this morning? There we go. No, that's not it. Where are my notes for my accountability check-in? So, accountability check-in is a... Oh, there we go. Hey, listen, this is exceptional. I like when real life happens. So Kylie's running a little bit late this morning. The alarms maybe just didn't operate as well as they would like to operate this morning. So Kylie's joining us here in a couple seconds. Kylie, no worries, man. We got. I got nothing. Man. I just got nothing for you. Kylie, get your butt in here, man, so you can take me away from Marty. All right, so accountability check-in. Listen, you have control. Nation, I'm going to do this, Marty. You got control over two things in your life, Marty. The words that come out of your mouth and the food that goes into your mouth.
Agreed.
So what you can do is control the food, which controls your life. So today's accountability check-in is, if you can master food, everything else changes. Higher energy levels, emotional stability, less cravings, mental clarity, probably a better mood, probably a better choice of words coming out of your mouth because you're in a better mood. Every bite you take is a choice. Every food you put in your mouth is a choice by you, nation. Not by Keith putting it into your mouth, not by Marty, not by your mom putting the soother in your mouth or your dad putting the old pablum in your mouth. You're at a point in your life, nation, if you're tuning in right now, where every bite you take is a choice for health or illness, for strength or decline. So I invite you today. I know Marty invite you today. I know Matt's going to invite you today as well. Redefine your relationship with food. It is tough as mofo hell. Trust me. I stare at this thing every single day. I'm going to put Marty's face on it. It's tough. But if you can choose control, you're going to choose well-being. It's really as simple as that, because we know that all these little things over time add up and kill you, right? So while you're enjoying it today in your 30s or 40s, you do that every single day for a long time. Those little cumulative chocolates and peanut butters and all those things you're doing every single day are going to add up to probably not a good situation in the future. Probably not. I think we know scientifically, we know enough science that if you put bad stuff in your body, eventually it's all going to catch up to you, Marty.
Yeah, can't argue that one.
It's going to try to. So today's accountability check-in, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, it is what goes into your mouth shapes your life. I invite you, master food. Everything else is going to change. You have the power to change what goes into your mouth. You have the power to change what comes out of your mouth. The two things that you ultimately have control over in your life. The food that goes in and the words that come out. There's your accountability check-in this morning, nation. There is your accountability check-in this morning. All right, so we're going to walk it out with a harp, and we are going to bring in our friend, Matt Freed. Marty, Matt Freed.
Guys, you guys are awesome. This energy is so great.
Well, we like to have a little bit of fun in the lab. That is our ambition. I'm going to bring this over here as well. There we go. Cool. So, Matt, before we get into our discussion, I want to, we're going to come back here for a quick second. William, that explains an example of food you weigh. Yes. And then Enzo, that's a very tough accountability check-in. You're right, Enzo. It is one. And that's why we have Matt here today, because many of us, Matt, we know, struggle with food addictions. We struggle with sugar addictions. We struggle with putting the wrong food in our mouth. But before we get into that, Matt Freed, please take a second to introduce yourself to Nation. What qualifies you as an expert in this, and what do you wake up every single day with a purpose to do to help who, and how do you help them?
Wow. Thanks, Keith, Marty. Thanks, guys. Well, I wake up every single day with the purpose of helping people to, change their life, and largely through nutrition. I am a nutrition coach, and my mission in life is to help people live long, extended, healthy lives, like adding years of longevity to the end of their life. And it does start with food for most people. So yeah, absolutely. And I'll add one other thing. I wasn't always, the reason why I do this is I also want to preface things by saying that, I grew up eating the standard American diet, eating all the junk food, and I was very heavy at one point. So I understand what it's like to be there.
You understand, and a lot of Americans, a lot of North Americans, a lot of people in the world understand what it is to get there, but they struggle with where to start. And it becomes, I think, Matt, this never-ending. Monday becomes Tuesday, Tuesday becomes Thursday. I'll start on Friday, and then Friday comes, I get invited out for the weekend. I'll start on Monday, and we never ever start with it, right? So it's this concept of I'm always going to start, but this food's everywhere. This junk food, sugars all over the place. How do I beat these cravings?
Yeah, great question, Keith. So, it's all. First of all, I love the way you started off the accountability check-in, because it is that simple, but it's not always that easy, though, right? So getting started is one of the big things that I help people with, because it's easy to say, oh, just cut out this, or just stop doing that, or just do whatever. But it's not so easy in practice to actually do it. So often it's best to start with a small, simple step, if that makes sense, right? So if you're right now listening to this and you're eating tons of junk food, for the three of us to tell that person to just cut it all out tomorrow, easy to say, but not so easy to do. So sometimes the approach might require a gradual step, an easier step, right? Just to get started, as you said, because getting started is very important. If you don't get started, then you don't get started.
It's true. It's absolutely true. Marty.
Yeah, definitely. Can you talk about your process? How did you get started? What was the shift for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, Marty. So for me, it's I had some, I talk a lot about deep health. So there's more to health than just nutrition and exercise, right? There's also the mental, emotional side. So for me, it was a combination of when I was in my 20s, I was, eating tons of junk food, staying up late, drinking alcohol, doing things, not being sedentary, not working out. And I ended up in a very negative emotional place, right? So for me, Marty, I was so down on myself that I had to start to fix those emotional things first, right? And then once I realized that, like, oh, I could actually be happy, then I started to say, well, maybe I want to start to fix my body and my food. And so it was a long journey for me, right? But ultimately, when I got to the point where I was ready emotionally to start taking care of myself physically, and then when I started to key in on my diet, then everything really started to change.
So you made the mental shift first.
It was
Most
a big
people try to,
yeah.
Most people try the physical shift first, and then they try to bring the mental along. So you think that's a better method?
That's a good question, Marty. I don't want to say that one is better than the other, because it's definitely possible for someone to get started with a physical change first, and then the mental could follow along. But for me, and for many of the people I speak to, look, I'm a nutrition coach, but I spend more than 50% of my time on the phone with people talking about mindset and mental and emotional change. Yeah, we could talk about calories all day long, but a lot of people, most people already know, you and everybody listening knows what healthy food is. You don't need the three of us to tell you that, right? You know that vegetables are healthy, right? But why aren't you eating them? So that's a mental thing,
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely.
It's interesting, Matt, because people come to you looking for help. They come to Marty looking for help. They want to get jacked. They want to get lean. Getting to the gym, I think for many is perhaps the easiest thing. It's when they get home. It's those other 23 hours of the day that we all struggle with. We walk around the kitchen, look into the pantry, look into the fridge, and there's all this crappy food sitting around us. What's
Well, now
the,
we're, yeah.
what's
Go ahead,
the,
Keith.
what's the strategy, Matt? What's the strategy you talk to your clients about for those other 23 hours of the day when they're not training? And Marty, I'm going to come to you with that same question in a moment. So it's like, okay, Keith, you got your lift in, but now's the hard part, man. You got to go home. You got to drive by the restaurant. You got to drive by In-N-Out Burger. You got to drive by Five Guys. You got to go to the grocery store. How are you coaching me to make the good decisions so that I'm not fighting those junk food, those sugar cravings that I battle for those 23 hours of the day when I'm not in the gym, Matt?
Yeah, that's a great question. Now we're really getting into like, how can people fight this stuff?
Yeah.
So look, it depends, right? It depends. It's a little different for everyone, but there are definitely some principles that apply to most people, right? So yes, if you get your body moving more, it's all connected, right? So if you do start exercising consistently, that will help with cravings because then you're going to sleep better. And look, what do we do when we're tired and stressed out? We make bad decisions, right? So these things are all connected. But just to try to get even more specific for a minute, it's like, look, a simple one that you touched on is if you have a bunch of junk food in your house, well, what is Dr. John Berardi's number one food rule, right? He's the founder of Precision Nutrition. His number one food rule is if food is available, eventually you're going to eat it, right? So if you have all this stuff lying around the house, I don't care how much willpower you have, eventually you're going to eat it, right? So that's a simple low-hanging fruit is to kind of do a pantry makeover, right? Or change your environment if you can. That's not the whole story. That's not the magic wand, but that's a great place to start.
Marty.
Yeah, I like that approach, Matt. And I always tell my clients that you can't leave the gym and not think about the gym for the rest of the day. So once you start your journey, you got God or whatever your belief is. If you have a belief, you got family, and fitness needs to be right there with your career. It needs to be right there. So I kind of use that tier system to help them. And if you don't think about it, you're not going to eat right. You're going to drink whatever you want. You're not going to have any discipline. So just instilling that in their mind helps a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, again, it's all connected, right? So it's like if you're a businessman or woman, or if you're a family man or woman, right? The better you take care of yourself, the better you can take care of those other responsibilities. So those things are all connected. So it's not just I go to the gym for 45 minutes and then I'm done taking care of myself for the day. No, not at all. It's a continuous thing. Yeah.
I think for many of us, though, when we have the junk food in the house, I'm going to suspect what I'm going to say next is going to relate to many people. I got the junk food in the house. I'll just finish the cake today and I'll start my diet on Monday. Right? It's like, I don't want to waste this thing. I don't want to clean my pantry out and throw all that junk out, Marty. Here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to go and just crush the stuff on the countertop today, get it out of the house, get it out of here. Then I'm going to start my journey tomorrow. What do you say to someone like that? Because that is often, I think, what many people do. It's like, I don't want to throw this junk out. I'm just going to eat it, you guys. And then I'll start tomorrow. Marty.
Yeah, that's BS. let's be honest. Whenever you make some type of transformation or change, it has to be a shift. So like when I did 75 hard last year, it was random. It kind of just, I was like, all right, I'm doing it today or doing it tomorrow, whenever I decided to do it. But it's just not going to work because 9 times out of 10, if you've been eating that type of junk for decades, since you were a kid, now you're 35 or 40, it's going to be hard to just turn it off because it's Monday. What different is Monday than Saturday or Thursday or whatever day you say that? It's just another day. So it's got to be a quick shift and a quick decision, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, fellas. Y'all can let me know.
Maddie, what's your comment on that?
I think Marty's on the right track. I think it's also important to mention something that we haven't yet, which is this concept of adding foods in, right? We talked already a little bit about taking things out, right? And Marty touched on it. If you've been eating stuff for 30 years or 5 or 10 years, and you just take it away, that doesn't quite solve the problem, right? So now now there's a void, right? So the concept of adding foods in is a great place to start to help with cravings, right? So if you start adding in more whole foods, if you start cooking more, and just a little bit can go along with this. I want to give the listeners some hope, right? If you're struggling with this, here's some great news. Newsflash. Just a little bit, like just adding like one salad a day or one whole foods based meal a day or something like that, right? Can make a big difference. Then you start to see, oh, I didn't need that Snickers bar 2 hours later. And that's a big change for someone who just is coming off 30 years of eating junk food, right? And that's how it starts. I didn't, no one just, it's not an overnight thing. It's a process, So
it's interesting, Matt, you said, I don't know if many people think about it this way. You said add food in to take food out.
That's right.
Most people, I'm going to suggest, think I got to take food out. I just got to get rid of the bad stuff. Finish that sentence for me, because I think what you're saying is, yes, but Keith, if you take all the bad food out, you still have to eat.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like inclusion is one of my core pillars, right? So it's like, you can look, I don't want to dive off into too many tangents, but there are a lot of people who are just focused too much on restriction. And then they get to the point where they're not even eating enough food because they think, and what else can I cut? It's a race to the bottom there. If you start adding in foods, it crowds out the cravings, right? So if you eat 3 well-balanced meals a day, right, you're not going to have as many cravings as if you were eating 3 poorly balanced meals a day. It's just not going to happen,
Marty?
And you know what that leads to? That leads to the fad diets.
Mm-hmm.
That leads to I'm not eating carbs for the whole month. Who told you to do that? Where'd you get that from? Or the detox teas. I've talked about on my podcast. I don't know if I've shared it here, but sorry, ladies, if there's any ladies listening. But I've had multiple women. I give them the meal plan, tell them what to do. They come in, they can't even work out because they took a detox tea the day before, and now they keep running back and forth to the bathroom. So I think that right there leads to a lot of fad diets or quick fixes. So very, very detrimental to your body.
Talk about carbohydrates, gentlemen. People have this love-hate discussion. I can see Matt's face lighting up. People have this love-hate with carbohydrates. It's, some say don't eat a carbohydrate, some eat carbohydrates, some say do whatever you want. Carbohydrates are a bizarre food group that people just struggle with in today's world. Matt, to you first. Carbohydrates. Talk about carbohydrates with Business Athlete Nation.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, carbohydrates are great, right? So now, eating tons of junk food and ultra processed food, that's not great, but carbohydrates are fantastic, right? So it's like, now it doesn't mean you even have to eat a high carb diet. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but we also, let's not demonize carbohydrates, right? If you're an athlete, you probably need some carbohydrate, right? If anything in too far to either extreme or the other is probably a red flag, right? So I know there's a lot of fad diets out there that promote I'm not even going to name them right now, but that promote sometimes as little as 5 to 10% of your total intake to be carbohydrate. That's crazy. It's very extreme, So, and also nearly impossible to sustain.
Marty?
Yeah, I can go on about this forever, but I'm going to try to keep it brief. but it's like I'll get people, they'll say, I'm Caribbean or I'm Asian. We eat a lot of rice in our culture. And so I'm just going to cut it out. And it's like, so you're going to take out rice or sweet potatoes or whatever carb I have on there for you. But you're going to blame the carb, but you're not going to blame all the alcohol I see you drinking on your Instagram story. Or you're not going to blame you went to the deep dish pizza place. You're not going to blame all the French fries. You're not going to blame all the fried foods that you ate or the candy that you had at the carnival because it's warm out now, right? You're not going to blame that, but you're going to take out rice and sweet potatoes. It makes absolutely no sense. Then another thing, Matt made a great point for athletes. I look at everyone if you step foot in the gym, you're an athlete. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing some form of strength training or resistance training, you're going to need some carbs. So don't get mad at your Apple Watch that when the output isn't as high and you skipped all your carbs, you can't lift as heavy. You can't lift at the same intensity. So yeah, carbs are just they're super important. Like I said, I can go on a tangent about this because I have talks probably monthly with my clients about carbs. You know, a lot of people are just they're scared of them.
Yeah.
You know, they think that's what led to the weight gain. They don't look at all the other factors that I just named.
We're talking how to beat sugar and junk food cravings. Matt Freed, myself, C. Marty Fit. Good morning, Sarvina, joining us here from Winnipeg. We also got William Graves. Fatty stomach, way you want to eat food. You may watch weight, mostly concern is diet. This is true, William. The topic of carbohydrates fascinates me, Marty and Matt, because it really is the ultimate excuse food, isn't it? Right? And we all hide behind it. And I love that you brought it up, Marty, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to eat the good stuff, but I'm going to go get my carbs from my beer later today. So, you know, or I'm going to go get some carbs from my fries today. When people are struggling with the sugar, the junk food, what do you often say to somebody? Put the sugar away, replace it with this. How do you encourage them to replace it with insert this? Matt, you first.
I think almost always my first move, it depends, but most of the time, I usually ask the person to find ways to start adding in other foods. I very rarely do I do, you must take away type of approach first, because that all usually backfires. It's like a kid. Like, think about it, right? I don't know if you guys have, I think you guys have kids. You're both dads.
I do. Yeah. Marty's on his way, man. That's why Marty's hanging out with me, because Marty's looking for like fatherly tips. So somewhere along the way, Keith's going to try to teach him. I don't know about that, but.
Well, happy Father's Day early to you, Keith, and
Thank
all
you.
listening. And, but look, you all know if you have a kid and you tell them like, you can't eat that, well, what are they going to do? Or you can't play with that toy. What are they going to go play with that toy? So I usually try to encourage people to find ways to start adding in foods first, right? Now, then there's often other things. Let's say someone's doing a great job with, all of a sudden they start cooking like, 70% of their food and they still are having cravings. Well, that's okay too. So you have to be a little less judgmental of yourself. You have to remember that you're trying to undo years of bad eating here, and that doesn't happen overnight. So cravings almost, actually, Keith and Marty, I've talked about this before. Cravings are never going to go away completely. So let's just accept that fact right now, right? Now, you can mitigate them, you can reduce them greatly, but as I said, I once used to eat tons of bread, pizza, and pasta, overeat that stuff. And guess what? Even though I'm like very fit right now, I still have the propensity, the tendency to crave those things. So they're never going to go away completely, but you can do a really great job of managing them and get to the point where once in a while, you can still have some of those whole, foods that you grew up with that you love to a modest degree, and have a little bit of flexibility in your diet and not drive yourself crazy and still be in balance.
So Marty, is what Matt's saying, because I know you and I have talked about this before, Marty, is what Matt's saying is that you guys are not asking everybody to be 100%. Is what Matt's saying is that be 80, 90%? Like Keith, go, eat great food 9 days out of 10. And it's okay if you want to have that Kit Kat on that ninth and a half day out of the 10, but just don't eat the Kit Kat for 10 days in a row. Is that what Matt is saying? See, Marty?
Yeah, pretty much. And most people who go 100% out of nowhere, they end up quitting or just giving up completely. And then like even the other day, we have a crumble cookie out here. I'm not sure if they have that where you are.
I've crushed a box of crumble cookies, man.
Yeah, those cookies are like 800 calories. So it's like
that's how I felt.
So don't eat the whole cookie. Eat 1/4 of the cookie. Don't eat the whole crumble cookie. That's ridiculous.
Marty ate the box.
Right.
How many were in the box?
I think there was maybe a dozen, me and Carter. Nope.
That's insane.
I'm sorry, man. We were in the States and we saw a crumble cookie, and Carter's like, let's go check out the crumble cookie, Dad. I'm like, all right, he knows like cookies. We go in there. I'm like, okay, well, how can we're all from Canada. How can we buy 3? How can we buy 6? We bought 12.
No, they're so good though.
Dude, they're incredible.
That's a great example, Keith, of like, if you were traveling, right? It's like I talk, like if you're on vacation, right?
Yeah,
that's different.
That's the right time to like have a little indulgence moment, generally speaking. If you've been disciplined at the other, 80% of the year, and you go on vacation, like, okay, then you have the cookie. Like, that's the time to do it.
But this is,
you had a
You
moment.
you can't do it because it's Saturday and you do it every Saturday.
Right.
That's the issue.
but you know what, guys, this is actually a great part of the discussion, because I believe many will relate to my experience there, where you're in the moment. You're like, yes, Enzo, that's exactly where I'm going with this. So
I could have said that.
the future says when I'm traveling, I'm a fat. But that's just it, because Enzo's going to say what I'm thinking, which is, okay, so I'm on vacation. I'm enjoying myself. I walk into the Crumble Cookie, Matt. I walk into the Crumble Cookie, see Marty Fit. I go to In-N-Out Burger, and then I stand there and I stress. I'm like, okay, well, I've been so good this whole time. Should I eat them? Should I get the cookie? Should I get the burger? I'm thinking of my coach, C. Marty, in my head saying, yeah, Keith, eat it. And I'm hearing my coach, Matt Freed, saying, Keith, you're on vacation. Go have that cookie. And then I break the seal and I have the cookie. I have the burger. I'm on vacation 3 days, 4 days, 7 days. Now I got to go back to real life. Isn't it just easier, gentlemen, not to have the cookie, not to have the burger when I'm on vacation?
I would say it depends. For some people, yes. For some people, no. There's no one answer there, Keith. So it's like, so there are some people who are ready to have a cookie on vacation because it would depend largely on how long you've been consistent and how comfortable and maybe your history with, your spiraling. Like if you're someone who has a tendency to really spiral out of control, then that's probably you, if I were working with you, we'd be working on your awareness, right?
Yes.
What triggers that in situations for you. And eventually, when you have a negative eating event, then you just do a little, I have some tools for that. But basically, the more you can raise your awareness, okay, and the better you'll be armed to deal with those situations when they present themselves. I'd like to hear what Marty has to say too.
Yeah.
I'm always going to have a completely different perspective or angle.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, like, I've had plenty of people that when they go on vacation and they come back home, it takes them weeks to get back started again. Like they can't just hop back into their routine. So if you're one of those people who can't hop back into your routine, then don't touch the cookie on vacation. But I tell everyone, like, enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get back to work when you get home.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're one of those people who can't snap back and get back on your routine, then maybe you shouldn't touch the cookie.
I've never heard. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, Keith, you said one thing that I'll challenge you on. It's the judgment thing. We all struggle with this good bad thing. You are good. You are a good person. I'm telling you that right now. I just met you, but I know you're a good person, right? So just because you might have a cookie last weekend, that didn't make you a bad person. So stop telling yourself you're bad.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it too.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, because I think what happens, I know what happens actually, because I will just be vulnerable in front of two of my friends and tell you what happened.
I think Keith froze. Marty, you there?
Yeah. Keith, you're breaking up.
It's all good. We can roll with it while he's getting in.
Yeah, Keith, you're breaking up. But no, I don't know where he was going. But yeah, like I said, I think if as long as you have that discipline and you have that routine, go enjoy yourself for sure. I know when I'm on vacation, I'm enjoying myself.
Right.
I'm
right.
doing
And
whatever.
you've been consistent and disciplined for probably 10 years or more or something like that, right? So but some people aren't ready for that yet, and that's okay too. So it really does depend.
Yeah, and I work out on vacation as well.
Yeah.
So I'm I tell my clients to do that, especially if you plan on eating and drinking and enjoying yourself. Do something, even if it's an excursion and it's active. You're gonna do some type of hike or some water activities. Be active. Do some type of activity.
Yeah, I mean, there have been vacations where I've gone. I would say it's both. It can be both, right? There can be a vacation where, depending on where you are in your life at that moment, maybe you're going to go and crush it on vacation. You're going to work out even more and like eat really well and maybe get more fit, right? And there might be another person at another time in their life who's just coming out of some really bad eating repair, and now they're going to use that vacation. They got to be a little more cautious. So it depends,
Definitely. Since we're talking about vacations, man, I have this issue with clients. I just was getting on a girl. She had a great January, February, March, right? She killed it, like first 90 days of the year. Then she booked like back-to-back trips and she can't get back on track. So I don't know. Have you ever experienced that with clients, or they just, it's like they do so well and then one thing triggers them and they're done for the year or for the next few months.
100%, 100%. A couple of things that come to mind for me there are, I like to sometimes say there's no such thing as going off track, right? So this is what I call the concept of the journey. We're all on a journey that basically starts the day we're born and it ends the day that we die, right?
Yep.
So it's a little bit of a mindset shift. Like, so there's only one track, and whatever is happening to you in your life in this moment is for a reason. There's something to learn from that. So so I would suggest to that person, to her, to just get rid of that myth, right? You're still on the track. You may be taking a detour right now, but you can swing it back, Another thing is, I would ask her to remember why, right? Whenever someone has lost, it's like the first question I always ask somebody is, hey, why are we on this phone call right now? And then we dig into that. And then if someone gets lost, 3 months or 6 months later, I might ask them, hey, do you remember why we started this program? Why or do you want it? Why did you want to get healthy back then? That can help sometimes to reorient things,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think some people, maybe they don't have a strong enough why. Like if I've experienced, if you're just doing it to get ready for a trip, you're probably not even going to be able to prepare for that trip.
Right.
So
I
think having a strong why and seeing the big picture and having that longevity mindset, that helps a lot of people with their goals as well.
100%. It's important, right? So if the why, and sometimes the person isn't really ready to dig into their why too deeply, but you give it time and it will happen. If a good coach can nurture them through that, So
yeah, most definitely. How long have you been training or in the fitness nutrition world?
Yeah, I've been doing this for about 8 years now. After I had gone through my own journey, I decided like I knew I wanted to help people, so I started going to school for coaching and getting certs, and I've been doing this for about 8 years. Yeah.
So what'd you do before that?
So I'm also in the food business, and I still have been for many years. So I bring, that's something interesting about me is, we're on this call to talk about cravings and food, and I've been in the food industry for 20 plus years, almost 25 years. So look, it's funny. I used to be the kind of guy, just to kind of bring it back to the junk food topic for a minute, is I used to be this guy that would, because I believe strongly in organic food and healthy food, of course. And I used to be this guy who would raise his hand and shout and point and say things like, you have to read every ingredient and you must eat organic and all this stuff. Now, I've just come a little bit more central on this topic. It's like, you don't have to make yourself crazy about eating some kind of perfect all organic diet necessarily. Right. So, but you do need to be consistent with certain basics, and that can help move away cravings as well. That's all. Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So let's say someone they can't afford the organic.
Right.
What are they missing out on certain benefits by not getting organic? What can they do to still have a balanced diet, or maybe what hit their fitness goals? What can they do? What can that person do?
I mean, honestly, Marty, like if the average person who, I would ask them, like, for example, how much of their food is home cooked, and if it's 0 or 10%, if we can get that up to, if they have the ability to cook 50, 60, 70% of their food, that can make a difference. Doesn't really matter whether it's organic or not at that point. If you start cooking, you're going to start being healthier,
I agree.
For example, one example,
Yeah, no, for sure. And then if you can talk about hydration a little bit, how important is
that's
hydration?
So I have a list, by the way, and after the call, I have I've written many posts about all the causes of cravings and many posts about many different things you can do to combat cravings. Okay.
Yep.
So hydration is one of those. And I'll put a link.
That's a big one.
Yeah. I'll put a link in the show notes so that people can click and read through all these things. But 1,000%, so many times we think we're hungry, but we're actually thirsty. Right. So if you're not drinking adequate water if you're an athlete, I put electrolytes in all my water, but even if you're just not drinking enough water, like that's probably, it's definitely a major cause of cravings. Another major cause of cravings is holidays and family and relationships, right? Father's Day is coming up. Wintertime is another big one. I did a whole webinar around Thanksgiving. Like when holidays and family gatherings come up, that can trigger a lot of stuff, right? So now maybe you're trying to get fit, but now you got to go home for Thanksgiving dinner, and your mom is going to put all the stuff on the table that you don't want to eat all that, right? That's a tough situation,
No, that's definitely tough. And I would say I never felt me and my other people I know as well. We don't feel guilty around holiday time when when you've been disciplined all year. One day isn't going to mess you up. And then just to bring it back to hydration, if you can tell folks how much water do you think is enough to stay lean, stay hydrated, and then second part of the question, what's your take on a gallon a day? A lot of people say a gallon a day. I know I try to get a gallon a day, but I've been doing this for a while, so it's different for people like us.
Yeah, you might be good with a gallon probably because you're you're probably super active. I know you are, right? So so for me, I always say it depends because there's a variance, but a good starting point is most people should be starting with about half their body weight in ounces as a starting point. Now they might go up or down from there, right? But let's just say you weigh 200 pounds. 100 ounces is a lot of water, but if you're only drinking 30, like that's not nearly enough if you're a 200-pound person, right?
Yep.
So now the half your body weight in ounces depends, right? Let's have some common sense. If you start drinking half your body weight in ounces, but you're not very active, maybe yours might need to go a little lower. If you're peeing all the time, right? And you that's a sign that maybe you need to taper it down a little bit. On the other hand, in the summer, like you, I drink a ton of water, right? Even I know as soon as the weather gets warm, I start sweating more, and people will be surprised how much fluid comes out of your body when you sweat. If you're an athlete, you need to drink plenty of water. So yeah, I mean, half your body weight in ounces is a great starting point. I like to add electrolytes to my water because I like to mineralize, and and then take it from there. Don't take that as a law, but take that as a good starting point to gauge. So if you're nowhere near that, you're probably not drinking enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I put electrolytes in my water as well. I put it right in the gallon.
Yep.
So also, can you tell people how important protein is?
100%, and that will certainly help with cravings. Go ahead, Marty. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, I think that is probably, with that being the most important macronutrient, I think that's probably the most slept on macronutrient, especially with this is no shade to anyone watching, but, with vegan being big, all these vegan restaurants coming out, a lot of people just, they neglect protein altogether, and they don't understand how important that is.
Right. Well, protein is super important. And that's when I'm working with people on food, protein is typically one of the first things we look at. Mm-hmm. So if someone's following a plant-based or vegetarian diet, they need to be extra careful and thoughtful about how to make sure they're getting enough protein, which may require some supplementation of some form or another. Right. Yep. Welcome back, Keith.
What's up, Keith?
But for sure, protein is important for many, many reasons. As we get older, it's harder to maintain muscle. It will keep you satiated. It will help with cravings, right? So, and I could go on, but it's very important.
No, absolutely.
Marty, thanks for taking over, gentlemen. Apparently I forgot to pay the bill here, so I guess the internet decided to crash out for a few minutes. All joking aside, I appreciate you hanging out there, Marty, and taking things over for me. We've got a couple comments before we wrap up here today, guys. So Matt, Marty, Enzo, the future says, I heard somewhere it takes 10 days to lose fitness. And to gain that fitness back, it takes a whole month of training and nutrition. I'm finding that right now after having COVID.
Wow.
And then the future also says, does drinking too much water trigger a food craving? Matt Fried.
I mean, let's take the second question first. Does drinking too much water trigger a food craving? I mean, I'm not sure about that, but I would say why drink too much water, right? If you don't want to throw yourself out of balance. So anytime you're out of balance, then you're not going to make great decisions. So I've never quite heard that before. I guess it could, but you certainly want to keep your fluid in balance for sure.
Yeah. Marty, comments on that?
No, he's absolutely right. We actually, I don't know if you heard it, but we had a whole
I did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So pretty much, like he said earlier, the water is actually going to get rid of your cravings. And a lot of times, go ahead.
It's interesting because people aren't as hungry as they really think they are they, Marty? It's a craving, isn't it, Matt? You're not hungry. You just want to put something in your mouth.
And you know what? With all the fast food restaurants around, you probably wouldn't even be thinking about food if there were no, if there weren't so many around. If we didn't have so many options.
Yeah. Maddie.
Cravings are like, if they're powerful. They really are powerful. So that's why we said it in the beginning. It's simple, but it's not easy because these things are powerful. You driving by a store that you've been to 1,000 times or a restaurant, you can kind of feel it like a magnet pulling you in. So that's why it takes work. It takes work. It's simple, but it does take effort. It does take effort.
So, gentlemen, before we wrap up in the last 2 minutes here, boys, willpower, cravings, or routine. Routine's always going to beat cravings and willpower, isn't it? So then, how do you educate somebody to get into a routine to beat the willpower and beat the cravings? Matt Freed.
I agree with that. If I had to pick one of those three, I would pick daily habits, daily routine over all else, right? So strive. If you can establish a routine that you can be 80% consistent with, that's a win, right? If you can do it 6 out of 7 days, 5 or 6 out of 7 days a week, or even 7, that's a win. Now, if your routine isn't working for you, maybe make it a little easier until you nail it, and then you can step it up.
Yeah. Marty.
No, routine is so important, and habits are important. And I always tell people, you can't just wake up and wing it, right? You should probably have some type of plan on what you're eating that day, what time you're working out. And then I always tell people, if you wing it, you're going to end up eating chicken wings.
Less crunches, more crunches.
Yeah. That is it. So see, Marty, wrapping up our discussion today, how to beat sugar and junk food cravings. If you're going to wing it, you're going to eat wings. So, you got to have a plan. The best way to beat your sugar and junk food cravings, Business Athlete Nation, LinkedIn Nation, as Matt Freed said, and as Marty Fitz said, have a routine, have a plan. Without the routine, without the plan, it's probably as simple as this. You're not going to beat your sugar and junk food cravings.
Definitely need a plan. 100%. That's the number one. I'm glad we ended on that because that is the number one by far thing that most people that I work with need help with is planning and preparing by far above all else.
Same.
And what's interesting, Nation, is that as we're moving into an AI enhanced era where AI can do everything, it's human beings like Matt Freed and C. Marty Fit and old Uncle Keith over here that's going to help you be accountable to your goals. Right? So use every AI tool you want, but when you need a human being in your corner that is saying, don't crush the cookies, don't crush the wings, go knock on Matt Freed's door, go knock on Marty Fitt's door, because that's what that other human being is going to do, is help you be accountable to those goals. Matt, man, what a great conversation today. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to join myself and see Marty Fit in today's, I think, really enlightening, I hope, educational discussion for Nation, but how to beat those sugar and junk food cravings, because this is never going to go away, right? As much as we embrace AI tools, in a year from now or next week, we're going to have the same conversation, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. This was so much fun. And I mean, I feel like we just scratched the surface. This is great. Yeah. We did just scratch the surface. So we're going to come back, and the future says, hey, another awesome show. Thank you very much, Matt. It was very intriguing to hear what you had to say. Thank you, Keith and Marty, for the show. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Future, have a great sleep, man. I love the fact that he's got himself a new name. Future, have a good sleep, brother. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Before we say goodbye, Matt, how can people get a hold of you at Coach Matt Freed on LinkedIn? What other platforms, and how can they engage with you to use your services, pal? Yep, that's my handle on all platforms at Coach Matt Freed, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And I'll throw a link in the comments about all this craving stuff that we talked about so people can read more about it.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we get that out as well. Marty, any final words from you, pal?
No, a great conversation. Thank you for joining. And like he said, we just scratched the surface. So you got to come back.
We did just scratch the surface. And you know what, gentlemen? I was talking to a food psychologist over the weekend, Dr. Sarah Lavelle. She's going to join us in some future conversations, Marty, and maybe Matt will invite you back for that as well. We'll get Kylie in the lab, because this is a topic that will never go away. It will never expire. So the fact that we're having it in January, we're going to have it every single month, because we wake up every single day, nation, to help you guys move forward in life. All right, let's get out of here. Marty, thanks for holding down the fort while I was having some internet challenges. Matt, thanks for being a great guest today. As we always say, once a guest, now a friend of the lab. Matt, see you soon, okay?
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Nation, we'll see you later today at noon, live in the lab. We've got a big show from hero to villain. Jose was a hostage. I'm just going to leave it there. Come join me at noon today. We'll see you guys later. Ciao.